Hey everyone, happy Thursday. It's Alan Schimmel for TechStrong Gang. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a lot to go over, including news and a report on the HPE conference happening out in Las Vegas, some of it at the Sphere. Um, Let me introduce you to our gang members today, as we've been doing lately. Not a big introduction, but we're joined by regulars, John Swartz, who's actually in Vegas, Terry Robinson, Mike Vizard out in Denver still at the open source conference, and yours truly here. Though by the time you're watching this, I'll be in New York at PlatformCon. Um, Mike, I guess we'll go to you and throw it to John. HPE's put on quite a show out there in Vegas. First I've heard of a conference host using the Sphere, which is I think a great idea. But beyond the optics of that, is this really being, are they marionettes on the strings of NVIDIA? What's going on, Mike?
Sure. It sure seems that way because not only is HPE using the same terminology to describe, essentially building AI workloads on on-premise IT environments, but Teradata was out this week saying the same thing, and I've seen Dell use the same terminology. And anybody who kind of builds anything that looks like a server that goes into a local data center is suddenly singing the same tune that NVIDIA kind of seems to have scripted, which is this notion of an AI factory. But John, I'm in Denver. You're there. What's your take?
Yeah, so it's interesting. You guys are stealing my thunder. I was going to refer to NVIDIA as the puppeteer and all this, because coming even down to the keynote speech, I'm just looking at something that the CEO of HPE, Mr. Neary, said. He said, soon it will be IT's responsibility to manage a digital workforce. That's like straight out of the NVIDIA playbook. We all had our Jensen Wang comment as well. He wasn't in attendance. He was here last year, but he talked about the same.
Jensen Wang didn't
was not here. No. What they should have done is they should have had an avatar of him that was generated by AI and have him appear on stage, because that was about the only thing missing from the presentation. And if I can just be really quick about the presentation at the Sphere, you're right, Alan. They used the Sphere almost upstaged the entire announcement, but it also, I think in a weird way, kind of a brilliant stroke, because they're showing what you can do with their technology as part of the presentation versus telling you, they're showing you. So in a sense, I mean, I'll give them credit for that. But essentially what they want to do and what they're talking about is making the enterprise, putting it back into the hands, the era of AI, into the hands of IT. They were kind of expanding on this previous agreement with NVIDIA, and they were talking about this AI factory solutions with composable solutions optimized for service providers, model builders, sovereign entities. They also talked about Green Lake intelligence. And basically, they hammered home this idea that through networking and they hope, soon to be completed acquisition of Juniper, through their hybrid cloud, and then through their AI strategy, they are going to be the solution for the enterprises. Neary made a good point that in a sense, the enterprise adoption of AI has been business-led initiative. It's not an IT-led initiative. So now they want to make the transition to the IT team and help them in administrative tasks. In a sense, it's pretty vanilla. It's kind of bland, but it plays into the NVIDIA playbook. And I mean, and again, it's a sense of deja vu. We get our prerequisite comments from Jensen. We get the hugging or the kissing of the ring of NVIDIA. But in a weird way, I think what HP was trying to articulate, and we talked to Daniel Newman, who's here, about it. It's in a sense, they differentiate themselves from their competitors in a sense with the way they presented this, with their software strength and the hybrid cloud. So it was overall an effective presentation. And you're going to have to start pulling out all the stops, because there's so many of these announcements that are basically treading or trotting over the same ground, saying the same thing, the same phrasing. It's almost as if NVIDIA has decided they are going to be part of the presentation of every conceivable enterprise announcement in this field. And their imprints everywhere.
Maybe, I look at this stuff and I scratch my head a little bit and I go, they're so busy on the hype and following the thing that they're kind of missing the point. And what seems to be happening is that I would say the first generation of AI platforms were built by data science teams that had their own internal IT infrastructure people attached to that. And they built a single application that ran on a single set of hardware and servers. It might have been in the cloud, but a lot of times it was in an on premise environment. As this evolves, it's pretty clear that every application is going to have some AI capability, and we're going to need infrastructure that can run multiple AI applications, and it's going to have to be managed at a level of scale that is highly distributed. And that requires the traditional IT team to show up and kind of manage all that stuff because the folks attached to the data science team are not going to be able to do this at scale. And that's why you see HPE and Dell and everybody else showing up saying, we need something that feels more like a little more turnkey, like traditional servers versus all this custom infrastructure that we've been building out for the last couple of years. And in my mind, that's the big shift here. And everybody else seems to be kind of just, trying to say it's going to be an AI factory. Frankly, I don't really like that term because who the hell wants to go to work in a factory? But
According to our government, we got a lot of work.
Agree that
Oh
does
God,
that,
yeah, I know.
I have a few other thoughts here. Look, if it's Nvidia who's pulling the strings at all of these shows, does that make Jensen El Padrino the Godfather? Right? You kind of like the Mario Puzo thing. But Mike, to your point, look, I think the first generation of AI stuff was very much experimentation. It was very much first generation, and it was sort of bespoke, custom kind of thing done for very specific tasks and solution sets. But now we're looking at AI, to do a Buzz and Woody meme. Look, Woody, AI as far as the eye can see, right? AI for everything. And in order to do that at scale, you are going to need mega factories like where Elon produces his batteries or wherever, right? You're going to need these, and quite frankly, we so much, at least our focus here at Techstrong on AI is how AI helps generate code and can make us more secure and can help us build platforms and how we use AI in IT. Well, let's not forget that much of software development today is done in a software factory where we have different teams in the factory. We have developers, we have platform engineers, we have DevOps engineers, we have SREs and security folk, right? All working on the factory floor, so to speak. So now that factory is an AI factory. Same people, different name. Meet the old boss, same as the new boss.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's the whatever. What did Benioff call it? I always hated that phrase, but it's the fourth industrial revolution, whatever the hell it was. Because so, in a sense, HPE, and I talked to a couple of the executives here. They're just hammering home, trying to reach the CIO level, the IT level, as the service brokers, the folks who are going to put this into play. So, yeah, we can romanticize about the beginning and the innovation. Now we're kind of reaching the mass deployment where things become a little bit more watered down and not as exciting or sexy. They're trying to be more practical. So we're going to get hit in the head with this over and over again.
No, I think so. I think the bigger issue is, so you take your HPs and your IBMs and your Amazons and your Googles and your Microsofts and all of these other, the Oracles, the big tech players who can, churn out these factories for large enterprises. And how are they separating themselves? Right. So NVIDIA is a tide that's lifting all of these boats. But are they truly interchangeable, or will we see, spheres of influence, spheres of specialization that separate HP from Dell, from IBM? Or if they're all the same and it's a commodity race down the toilet bowl, that doesn't bode well for these companies.
I don't know. It's too early to say, but I will also point out that will happen for sure is CIOs will be getting out their pencils and they'll be creating these AI project bills, and there'll be like a bill running through Congress. There'll be so many additional writers and things that they're adding to that have nothing to do with AI because they just want to make sure that they get approval for 100 other things. And
Yeah, can't blame them for that either. That's the way of it. Some as much as things change, they stay the same. Anyway, John, is the show over now, or is today the
No,
last?
it's still going. There's going to be a second keynote. I talked to there's a lady who oversees. She came from Intel a couple of years ago. Trish Dem Kroger, who's going to
Would
be
that make
giving a
her a
keynote.
refugee who applied for asylum or something? Or
Yeah. Yeah, I can't get out of here soon enough. But yeah, no, it's an interesting show. You know, when I see these things, I'm trying to figure out what is it unique about these companies that they're going to announce, and for the most part, there really isn't much. So I'm always trying to find, and I think we're all kind of talking about this idea of how do you differentiate yourself and not become part of this morass of mediocrity, right? Where you're just stuck in the middle and
foot soldiers in the NVIDIA crime family.
yeah, exactly. Wow, yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but yeah,
Yeah.
let's stick with that. That's more interesting.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think what they were trying to do is they were using the sphere. I mean, cynically, they're using the sphere as the star of the show. So they had two events here. They had the keynote, which was pretty effective, and then they had a concert later. So they're trying to spend as much time there as they are actually at the
Well,
convention
the
center.
sphere is spectacular.
Oh, it is.
Played with the concert?
Yeah. Oh, it's Kenny Chesney. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's playing there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. That must.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing too is I wonder if, and the people at HPE were telling me that they actually, that, they admitted to me off the record, like we know we're considered a dull company, but we think the way we use this venue might influence the way other companies do it. I think they're onto something. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think other companies will too now.
ServiceNow will probably do it. Adobe definitely should do it here.
I can't wait to see what NVIDIA does with it.
NVIDIA would do a spectacular job, but y'all see.
all right, I would encourage as many venues as possible to use the sphere so that the Dolans will have enough money to buy a good center for the Knicks.
Oh gosh.
Well,
Yeah.
let's hire a coach first, Mike. I have no confidence. But don't go you know what? We're going to end this one. We'll take a break. We'll be right back here on the Tech Strong Gang.